I think Borussia Dortmund before is a perfect place for the young talent players to come. Maybe Jude Bellingham in England, go to City, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. The big top teams maybe could not have the minutes that he got it, and the best moment or the best, I would say, for young players to be a better player is play minutes. So, but I said 2-3 years ago when I think had 70 years old when I arrived, it's not just about the quality, it's how he was shouting and leading and kicking and going to the referees. So, oh, this guy is something special in terms of mentality. Now with 19 years old, I think maybe I'm wrong, but he's already one of the captains of the team. It wouldn't happen with 19 years old. It's quite impressive. The quality, the skills, everybody knows it. So it's not about just the goals, the whole package, I think, is really good. He's already in national team from England, playing with them when just 19 years old, and that's quite impressive.
Jude Bellingham, that's excellent. Jude Bellingham, this is absolutely brilliant. Jude Bellingham, absolutely magnificent. He is a young man with the world at his feet.
Jude Bellingham is one of the most promising players in football, if not already a reality. He is one of the midfielders with the best form and was an undisputed player with Borussia Dortmund and the English national team, having played in the World Cup in Qatar at just 19 years old. But where did this talented player came from? This is a story of Jude Bellingham, England's greatest promising player. Jude was born in Stourbridge, England on June 29, 2003. Jude grew up with his father Mark and his mother Denise. He was always a very obedient child with a great future. From a young age, he was already interested in football, and it was clear to him that this was his dream. Jude's father works as a police sergeant, being a very respected person in the city, but before this, his father had been a footballer in the promotion leagues in England. He was one of the best players in the promotion leagues, scoring over 700 goals. But he was never able to make it to the first division. The start for Jude within this sport was at the age of 6, when he started supporting Birmingham City. He liked the club because it was similar to his name. One is Bellingham and the other is Birmingham. So at that time, Jude had the dream to belong to Birmingham's Jude Academy. His father wrote him into the Academy of Birmingham at 8 years old. In his beginnings, he showed an incomparable talent. They have never seen a player with such unique characteristics. For many, he was the most promising player in the history of this club. There was so much confidence on young Jude that he was able to play with the U18 and U23 teams of the club. He did this when he was only 14 and 15 years old, a complete madness. Apart from this, he would be called up to the England youth team, where he was able to share a dressing room with Jamal Musiala, an old friend of his who would later go on to play for the German national team. If you're only 15 years old and you are already playing for the U23 squad, then it means that you're doing hell of a job. And so it was, because later on Bellingham started pre-season with the first team at only 16 years old, and would make his debut on August 6, 2019, becoming the youngest player in history to make his debut for the club at 16 years old and 38 days. 25 days later, he scored the winning goal against Stoke City, also becoming the youngest player in history to score a goal. He played 44 games for Birmingham. He was a unique talent playing in midfield, where he was characterized by being very complete. He could defend, recover, and also step into the box frequently. Due to this, Premier League clubs began to look for him, being the main interested Manchester United, who insisted on signing him, and after valuing it, Bellingham decided to reject it, as he had noticed that many promises failed in that club, and there was a quite toxic environment for young players. Instead, he was interested in a different offer, Borussia Dortmund. They offered him a project where he would be the key, plus a millionaire's salary to support his family. It was 25 million euros that Dortmund ended up paying for the Englishman. Jude wore the number 22, and this number would be retired from Birmingham City, in respect to his young promise. With this, you can realize how much this player meant to the club. Finally, Bellingham arrived in Germany to play for Borussia Dortmund. When he arrived, he continued to break records, as he scored on his debut, again being the youngest ever for Borussia. Then he will become the youngest English player to make his debut in the Champions League as a starter. beating Phil Foden's record. Bellingham was already a known promise in Europe and was even able to score in the match against the Manchester City. Here, Guardiola met Bellingham and even gave him praise, mentioning that he was a great player. Jude arrived on his own to the key. He didn't need adaptation or experience. It seemed that he was already born with all of that. A complete player in every sense of the word, capable of playing as a pivot and being a leader of the recovery. He dominated the short dribble with an almost perfect footwork, and also something that makes him so special is his ability to smell the goal. Borussia Dortmund fans quickly noticed about this, and he started to become a new benchmark for the team. The amazing thing about this is that he was doing it at only 17 years old. In an interview, Bellingham stated that he lived with his mother. His mother moved in with him and made all his meals and still made his bed. Bellingham was still just a boy, but he was also the capable midfielder for Borussia Dortmund. Thanks to this, he was called to play the Euro 2021 with the senior national team of England. In that tournament, they would reach the finale, which they would lose against Italy, but Jude would already be recurring in the English national team for years to come. To this day, he has already played more than 100 games for Borussia Dortmund and has had the opportunity to wear the captain's badge. Being the captain of Dortmund at the age of 19 is something that does not happen every day. At that time, he had already scored 19 goals for the club, and because of this, he was called up to play in the World Cup in Qatar. Bellingham is already an undisputed starter with the English team. He is now the second youngest scorer in England's history. Jude Bellingham is now a reality. He is no longer a promise. He is now one of the best midfielders in the world. Despite being the best English player in the whole World Cup, they would be eliminated against France in the quarter-finals, thanks to a serious mistake by Harry Kane. And a few months later, they would lose the chance to lift the Bundesliga trophy in a turn of events that will remain for posterity. Even with all this, the giants of Europe, the Real Madrid, had decided to secure the services of this incredible player. And it is expected that along with the other young talents in the squad, like Camavinga, Tchouaméni and Valverde, they will form a dream midfield that will dominate Europe for the years to come. Now we only have to wait and see what else this young English player continues to surprise us with. This was the story of Jude Bellingham.